some noise for
Orange Juice in a Blunt.
Whoreson, the story of a ghetto pimp. The 4 cards. When he set the deck down for me to cut, I reached over and split the deck in half. I set the 4 cards on top. The top card was an ace. The second was a face card. The third was another face card, and the fourth was an 8. I removed my bankroll and knocked on the table. "Deal me all that money in the bank. Just 4 cards, New York. You and me. Big time." He spotted the ace on top and grinned. "Okay, baby boy. Just 4 cards between you and me," he said, dealing me the second card off the top of the deck. All the girls who didn't have customers crowded around the table, watching the game silently. New York tried to get the most out of the moment. "Seems as if I'm always teaching you something new, boy. This time, I'm gonna teach you never to buck a hustler's game." His lips turned down in a sneer. Ruby set my drink down in front of me, then stepped back from the table. Soon as he finished dealing, I reached over and turned up his hand without bothering to look at my cards. "You got 19, boss gang," I said harshly. "Are you hitting or sticking?" A look of surprise came into his eyes, and his expression changed. "I'm paying 20, he said slowly. Before he could move, I reached over and picked up the money in front of him. "Well, that's what I got, Slick Daddy," I said, and stepped back from the table. My cards were still face down on the table. He reached over and snatched them up. Then slowly it began to dawn on him that he had been played on. "You never even looked at them," he stated. "I ain't going for no shit like that, Whoreson, from you or any other motherfucker." Before I could reach him, he kicked over his chair and snatched up Fatima's pocketbook from the end of the table. His hand darted inside the half-open purse. As fast as he had moved, Ruby had moved faster. Her voice was chilling in the suddenly silent room. "Should I stick him, Daddy? Should I stick him?" There was no doubt in anyone's mind about whether or not she would stab him. They were both frozen in position. New York with his hand half in, half out of the purse, Ruby, 1 step behind him with a long switchblade pressed to the side of his neck. As I watched in fascination, she pushed the knife deeper into his throat. A small stream of blood began to trickle down his neck. He stared up at me with his eyes pleading. "Push that purse over here," I growled. He complied. I removed a snub-nosed .38 police special from the pocketbook, then stepped up and cracked him in the head with the handle. He fell out of the chair on the floor. His face was full of fear as I walked up to him. "Nigga," I said, "I ain't gonna do nothing to you. For the simple reason that ain't nothing I could do to you as bad as what you doing to yourself. All I want you to do is make sure that whenever, wherever you happen to see me or my woman, you put some distance between us." As I stood there, staring down on him, the years flashed back, and the humiliation of what he had done to me filled my soul with shame. You might get the impression that I don't mean what I'm saying, New York, so this is just to give you the message. Before he could move, I grabbed him by his collar and began to pistol whip him about the head. When I released him, he slipped back to the floor, unconscious, his face and head covered with blood. Everybody in the room was staring at me in shock. It had been a brutal act, but I wasn't ashamed. He would have shot me if it hadn't been for my woman. "Come on, Ruby," I said, and started for the door. I had the door open when Fatima caught up with us. "Whoreson," she said, "take me with you, please. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Please. And I'll work hard. Just let me go with you." Her pleading didn't move me at all, 'cause I didn't give a fuck about her. But the thought of slick-ass New York waking up and finding out I'd taken his whore too was too good an opportunity to pass up. I nodded, and she solemnly fell in behind us and followed me out to our waiting Cadillac. It had taken more than 7 years before the chance had presented itself for me to strike back in New York. But as they say, what goes around comes around, and god damn I felt good after getting a chance to play payback. And after glancing out of the side of my eye and seeing Fatima sitting so unconcerned against the car door, I had an idea I was going to feel a hell of a lot better after I fixed this dirty bitch's wagon. I saw the Bean Man walking down the street, so I blew at him and parked. When he got to the car window, I bought all the pills he had on him, Red Devils and Seccos and a few Dexies. Next, I stopped on Canfield and sent Ruby in to buy me a can of reefer. While she was in the house, I sent Fatima to the drugstore to purchase 2/5 of Johnny Walker Red. I watched her wave to somebody across the street, then Benny, the dope pusher, crossed over and followed her into the store. The bitch was getting a fix to take with her. Well, she was showing the hell needed before I was finished with her this day. Fatima beat Ruby back to the car. When she got in, I said, "Bitch, get your ass in the back seat next to a window and keep that dope you bought in your hand. If the police break down on us, I want you to eat that shit or throw it away before they stop us." In the ghetto, any black man or woman driving a Cadillac is fair game for every policeman with a badge in his pocket. Tickets were the least of your worries. What you had to do was make sure they didn't catch you dirty. Sometimes they would stop you on just GP, or to give you a bullshit ticket just so they could try and tear up your car on the pretext of searching for drugs. I had a speeding ticket in my glove compartment that I'd received while sitting in front of the trick house, waiting for Ruby to finish with a trick. Ruby came out of the building and ran down the stairs. She jumped in the front seat and put the window halfway down. I started the car and pulled out into traffic. I looked up and down the street closely for any police cars. If one hopped out behind me, he would have one hell of a race before he caught me, because I wouldn't stop until I gave the women time to clean up. We made it to the motel without any difficulty, and everybody relaxed. An hour later, with 1/5 of whiskey gone, we started getting down to the nitty-gritty. Both women had removed all their clothes, while I was down to just my pants. My jewelry and bankroll were lying on the dresser beside what was left of the reefer. I staggered up from the bed and walked over to the dresser to roll another joint. In the dresser mirror, I saw Fatima